All right. Moving on to the next portion of the show, we're going to be talking about all things NFL free agency. So, a lot of things have happened, like we said, between Monday and today. So, we're recording on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. So, if some random shit happens Friday morning before we upload, we're sorry. We weren't there to catch it. But we'll be celebrating with you live in person anyway. So, we've already talked about contracts like Derek Carr, Mike McGlinchey, Javon Hargrave. Any of these notable ones right here you want to talk about? Kendall, would you like to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo? Did you talk about him last episode?
We did, I think. But, yeah, I'm still a little irritated. Again, he's a guy that you can root for him because he is a good dude. But I still don't understand moving on from Derek Carr to go to Jimmy G. I was going to be okay with downgrading, obviously, if we were going to draft and develop a rookie who has potential. But we've already seen what we're going to get out of Jimmy G. He's going to play a game manager role for 10 games, get hurt, and then that's what it's going to be.
Well, some things to talk about too. One of the contracts that is kind of new would be the Orlando Brown contract. So 4 years, $64 million, $16 million annually. And 2023 cap's about $10 million. So it's really not a big thing against their cap room currently. He got a lot of that in sign-on bonus, pretty much half of it. And then, they get a potential out after 2 years. So I think this move's crucial for Cincinnati, who've been kind of slow in free agency up until this point. They probably got the number one guy on their list in Orlando Brown. It makes things weird for me, and I'll tell you why. And I've talked about this in the group chat. Orlando Brown plays left tackle, okay? And you had La'el Collins, who went down with an injury at the end of last year, who also plays on the other side at right tackle. Now, I know he'll probably won't come back right away because he tore his ACL. That's about a 10 to 12-month injury. So I don't know when he'll come back, just because you never know with recovery times. But he's a lineman. It's a lot more weight to move. I guess for the time being, you move Jonah Williams to right tackle, who's been a career left tackle up until this point. But once La'el comes back, and you're the Bengals, what do you do? I don't know if any of them have any experience at guard. You're not moving Orlando Brown, obviously, but what would you guys think is kind of your mindset moving forward once all three of them are healthy?
I think this was the best move the Bengals could have made. Like you said, I bet this was the number one guy on their board, was to get somebody who is, even if you don't think he's elite, he's right there, borderline elite, and he's still young. A franchise-type left tackle doesn't become available very often. So I think it was very good to protect Joe Burrow. So I think they're going to leave him at left tackle and then move the other guy to right tackle for sure.
Williams.
Yeah, great move by the Bengals, in my opinion.
You got to protect your quarterback. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. So anything to help out there is definitely a good move.
Yeah, and I honestly think another thing that could be possible too is if I'm Jonah Williams, who's played at Alabama, got drafted high to be the Bengals franchise left tackle a couple years ago, and he's had some injury problems and he's had some issues where he's just not been as successful up until last year, where he was really getting going strong and then he got hurt. I would try to learn how to play guard if I was him. He's going to play right tackle, which is a little bit of a switch just because just your footwork is flipped, moving from the left to the right side. But I'd really work on some guard play, because if you can keep La'el Collins at right, Orlando Brown at left, and then you have Alex Kappa, who used to play for the Buccaneers. He plays right guard for them. And Jonah Williams at left guard. That is a solid offensive line. If Jonah Williams can really decently transition from tackle to guard, that is a very solid offensive line, especially compared to other offensive lines in that division. That is a very top-tier offensive line. So that's what I would do if I was Jonah Williams. But like I said, big pickup for the Bengals. I know they're happy. I bet Bengals fans are happy too. They still have some moves to make probably, but we'll see what they do from here. Another big one that caught my eye was Alan Lazard, not because of him being just fantastic, more because of the Aaron Rodgers situation. One of the players on his so-called wish list, which I don't know how credible that is, but 4 years, $44 million, $11 million a year for someone like Alan Lazard. This just it frustrates me a little bit, because if I'm Garrett Wilson or I'm Elijah Moore, I'm taking this the wrong way. I'm taking this as, Aaron Rodgers. He has no right to trust either one of them. Like, he doesn't owe them anything coming in. It's fresh. But I'm Garrett Wilson. I'm the NFL. I'm the AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm pretty pissed off that you feel like they have to go sign him to meet Aaron's demands. Because I feel like their wide receiver group was not the issue, and they could have spent $44 million in a better place.
Not a better player, too.
No, I don't think Garrett Wilson is going to be pissed because I think he's still going to be the number one. I think it's more Corey Davis got cut. They cut Braxton Berrios, and they haven't done anything yet with Elijah Moore. But the person who deserves to be pissed off is Elijah Moore because he's talented and he hadn't been given a fair shot with Zach Wilson and playing time, really. So I think he's a very talented receiver. And with them signing Lazard, he just got replaced. So I'm the Jets. I just let him go. Trade him for whatever you can get. If it's a 7th-round pick, just do it. You're not going to play him anyway. Just let him go try to do something somewhere else. So I think the guy who's going to be pissed is Elijah Moore. I think Garrett Wilson will be fine.
I was about to say, I think there's no – like, Garrett Wilson has no worries. But, I mean, Elijah Moore was – he was kind of angry about his role like last season. So now that, Aaron Rodgers is coming in, he wants Alan Lazard, he wants Randall Cobb, he wants this and that. I feel like, so I feel like there's no place for him in that room, which sucks because Elijah Moore is a solid receiver. However, I wanted to mention this. I do have a list of all the signings that happened after we recorded on Monday. So if you need to go over those at any point, I can, and we can talk about whatever ones we feel like we need to talk about.
For sure. Just throw up one real quick then. I'll throw. You got something to say.
I'll throw one. It won't show up on here because he wasn't a free agent, but there's a pretty big trade from the Raiders moving on from Darren Waller to the Giants for a 3rd-round pick. And
that was fucked.
It was.
His wedding was a week ago.
Yeah, he didn't invite Josh McDaniels to his wedding either. That was like his wedding gift, that was like the gift to Darren Waller was, hey, you're getting traded. But I like Darren a lot. He was honestly one of my favorite players. I've got his jersey. I've got a phone case. I've got a few things, Darren Waller. So he's a great, talented tight end. But I'm not 100% pissed off about it just because the last 2 years he hadn't been able to stay on the field. And there was obviously tension between him and Josh McDaniels for whatever reason. I don't know what that is, but there was obviously tension there. So we went out and signed Jakobi Meyers, which I'm sure we'll touch on in a minute. So he'll be the new number 2 option, and got rid of Darren Waller for a 3rd after last year's trade deadline. The Green Bay Packers offered us a 2nd-round pick. We declined that trade and put Darren Waller on the IR for 9 weeks, 2 days after we declined that trade. So our front office is looking even more stupid by the day.
And another thing to talk about, too, that I got a couple things about this because I thought this was really interesting. First, do you think Jakobi Meyers is more of a number 2 option than, let's say, Hunter Renfrow?
With Josh McDaniels, yes. I do not expect Hunter Renfrow to be on the Raiders roster come the NFL draft. I really don't. I think he's going to be the next one gone.
Okay. And then following that, I just feel like this trade, all in all, is a terrible fucking move. Financially, it didn't make a whole lot of sense because he signed an extension last year, did he not?
Yeah, we signed him last offseason.
Yeah, so he's going into year 2 of his 4-year deal. The Giants don't have to The Giants don't have to re-sign him to nothing. I don't know how that works money-wise. I guess they pick up some of the contract. I don't know if you guys pay the rest of it in dead cap or what. But if you do, that's a lot of dead cap. 3.
I think it's like $5 million in dead cap for us this year, and I think that's it.
Yeah, that's not bad then. $5 million dead cap's not a lot. But the third reason I don't like this trade is Jimmy Garoppolo, especially, has succeeded throwing the tight ends over the middle of the field. George Kittle's the number one example of that. But George Kittle was not made by Jimmy Garoppolo by any means, but that was one of Jimmy's biggest targets, was his tight end over the middle. And if I'm not mistaken, Foster Moreau is also a free agent, who was the backup tight end in Oakland or Las Vegas.
Yes, our only tight end on our roster is Jesper Horsted.
Yeah, you don't have a starting tight end.
No,
and you especially don't have an athletic starting tight end. And the tight end market in free agency is not very large either. And you're kind of, in my sense, is like, yes, Jimmy's coming back to McDaniel's offense, and maybe just his thought moving forward in the offense was, we don't need this top tier tight end to make it work. But if you're Josh McDaniels, you would be dumb not to consider how Jimmy has had success in other places. San Francisco, obviously. And it's just like, I feel like they're setting them up in a weird spot unless they go out and draft somebody or they go sign somebody that they think can take over. Someone like Jonnu Smith, who got cut by the Patriots. That's someone who, is not nearly close to Darren Waller's talent, but he's similarly athletic. But this is a terrible trade for the Raiders. It makes absolutely no sense to me other than you might just wanted to give them out of the locker room because there was that tension you said. But this is a great trade for the Giants.
Yep.
I mean, Daniel Bellinger, the tight end for the Giants last year, he's probably not a starting tight end on most teams in this league, and he played great in Brian Daboll's offense. And I think Darren Waller is going to succeed in that offense if he can stay healthy. It gives Daniel Jones another weapon. It probably gives Saquon a better blocker on the outside than Daniel Bellinger. I know Darren Waller's obviously a vertical threat tight end, but he can block. I don't know how well of a blocker Daniel Bellinger is. He might be better, but it just seems there's a lot of pros for the Giants, and there's a lot of cons for the Raiders. And I feel like the only instance for where this pick works out for y'all is if you take pick 100 and get somebody just as good as Darren Waller, and Darren Waller stays injury-ridden, which could happen.
Yeah,
but
and also the two best years of Darren Waller's career was 2019 and 2020, whenever he was the number one option in offense with John Gruden. So now he had a great play caller, number one option. Now he's going to the Giants. Brian Daboll's a great play caller. He'll be the number one option in the Giants offense. So if he stays on the field, I expect him to go right back to how he was in 2019 and 2020 seasons. And I think that was a great trade by the Giants.
It also makes it even better before Chase gets his opportunity to kind of weigh in on this. They essentially traded Kadarius Toney for Darren Waller.
It's a hell of a flip there.
Yeah, it took a while to get that return on investment, but it's a hell of a return. And with that being said, Chase, as a team in your division, getting a weapon like this, how does this make you look at the Giants coming into the season? Do you look at them any differently? Do you say, hey, this is a team that is looking to improve? How do you look at them going forward?
They still fucking suck. I think, they still have Daniel Jones as a quarterback. So, he's a very hot and cold quarterback. The receivers still aren't like this top tier unit that makes you, shaking your boots. Darren Waller's going to be their number one option in the receiving game. They still have Saquon, who, has a lot of wear and tear. So you don't know whenever he's going to slow down. If it might not be this year, but it might be the following year. So they still stink. They're still not a threat to the Eagles, in my opinion. Of course, this time next year, we could look back on this exact episode and be like, wow, Chase, you were an idiot. And, I'll own up to my mistake. But for now, they'll finish third in the East still.
All right. Chase, do you have a free agent you want to throw out there for us to talk about?
No, but I can. I got an idea. I'll go through some of these I think are notable. If you guys want to talk about them, we'll stop.
How about Darius Slay back to the Eagles?
Okay, well, we can talk about that one. That one's a fun one. Knew he was coming back once somebody mentioned that there was a rumor that he might be coming back, because we did the same thing with Fletcher Cox last year. We released him, and then we brought him back on a different deal. However, this time it was an extension, so we didn't actually technically release him. So we got Darius Slay, we got James Bradbury back. We just got Greedy Williams from the Browns, which...
That's a good pickup.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a third corner. That's a solid third corner.
Yeah, and he can play safety too. So, we got a versatile defensive back. And then we're pushing hard to get CJ Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Sorry. I was going to say CJ GJ, but got distracted there. So we're pushing to get him back. So to everybody that said the Eagles are going to lose all their players, so far we haven't lost anybody notable, in my opinion. We lost Javon Hargrave, and that's about it. So
yeah, I feel like that Chauncey's that has to be such a high priority now. Because I feel like you said, if you get him back, that defense remains essentially untouched. Besides losing Javon Hargrave, but you're kind of hoping Jordan Davis fits into that role a little bit. No, he's not. He's never going to be Javon Hargrave because he's Jordan Davis. But you're hoping that he has a similar role. But Avonte Maddox is still playing slot corner for y'all, right? So you're good at corner. I mean, Greedy. They might move Greedy full time to safety. I mean, you need another safety. You lost Marcus Epps.
We got Reed Blankenship, So
it might be a little bit of a kind of a in and out kind of thing too. Especially if you get Chauncey back.
I'd put Reed in the box and have him in run support, to be honest, as a hybrid. But definitely need Chauncey back. He's 25 years old. I mean, he's super young, and if we can get him to a long-term deal, that'd be nice. But he did tweet out today that the disrespect is real, which can go one of two ways. Either he's still disrespected by the Eagles and their offers, or he's realizing that the market for safeties, for undersized safeties like him, isn't as exceptional as he thought. Sorry, I cannot speak. And so he's not getting the offers he wanted, and he's kind of getting humbled. And we're watching it all, the whole process of it. So we'll see. But we need him back, though.
Sure. Who else do we have, Trey?
We got Eric Kendricks with the Chargers, which is solid. Jimmy Ward went for the Texans. The Saints signed Jameis Winston. How about that one?
Yeah.
Starting quarterback.
Save us some cap room. Shut up. Save us some cap room.
We got a pretty big one. Marcus Davenport went to the Vikings on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I want to talk about that one.
Yeah, go for that.
As a Saints fan, this one hurts. I actually didn't know that until you just said that, because I've been on and off my phone all day. It's been kind of hard to see. I get 50 million freaking Adam Schefter notifications, so it's hard to tell. Losing Marcus Davenport is a big loss for us. We need that interior line. We just signed Kalen Saunders and another defensive tackle from, I think, the Browns. Kalen Saunders played for the Chiefs last 2 years. And we'd already lost 3 defensive tackles in Shaw Tuttle, David Onyemata, and forget the other one. But the Kalen Saunders pickup and the other guy are similar in terms of production, like PFF grades and stuff like that. They're right on par with the other two. So we really didn't lose a whole lot there. Just fan favorites, honestly. Shaw Tuttle's been there since he was a rookie. So I've seen that name on the bottom of the defensive tackle depth chart in Madden's for a long time. But losing Marcus Davenport, we drafted him out of UTSA. Big project for us. It was just starting to pan out. It took a little while. And he's gone. We're missing an edge rusher that we really need, and I feel like it's a really big hit to our defense, so we need to address sooner rather than later, hopefully. But I'm gonna miss Marcus. So hope he does well in Minnesota until we have to. If we ever play him, then I don't hope he does well. So.
Oh. Yeah. Next big one. Jason Kelce came back for what I feel like is one more year, which I did predict on the other show. So this is definitely going to be his last year. So I'm going to make sure that I go out there to make sure I see him one more time. Let's see who else? We
don't have to talk about it for hours, but I do like the Jakobi Meyers signing. I've always thought he was a little underrated, and as a number 2 option rather than being the number 1 in New England now, I think he'll thrive with Devontae on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, I think he'll work. He'll work out there.
You didn't give up an arm and a leg for him either.
No, $11 million a year is not bad at all.
We can talk about Miles Sanders, Carolina.
So that's actually one time the next person I had was Rashad Penny. So Miles Sanders went to Carolina. I wish him the best. My biggest gripe with Miles throughout his whole career with the Eagles was he would have some games where he would hit the hole, and he wouldn't leave a lot of yards out there. But then he would go through like these games where he would just not find like the right hole, and I'm sure there's probably like a video on YouTube if you look it up, just Miles Sanders picking the wrong hole, and there's been plenty of instances where he had to make one guy miss. And he had a blocker in front of him to help him out. He just went the wrong way, and what would have been a touchdown is now only like a 20-yard gain. So he'll do good there, especially because it is Carolina. They don't have a quarterback right now, right?
No.
I forgot all the signings and everything. So
I think they signed a backup, but I don't think they have their starter. Obviously,
and they lost DJ Moore.
Yep. They're trying to get rid of Matt Corral too. They just drafted last year. He didn't even go play a snap.
So
Chuba Hubbard's their backup running back.
So Miles Sanders will definitely be the number 1 weapon on offense, unless something happens.
Yeah.
So
CJ Stroud potentially won't have too many people to throw the ball to.
Yeah, good luck to him. I think I'm glad he got a contract. I'm glad he's getting paid. He seems like he's hurt that he's not back in Philly, but the Eagles picked up Rashad Penny, who I will die on this hill. I feel like Rashad Penny is a much better runner than Miles is. The only thing is with Rashad Penny is he's been hurt a lot. So if he can stay healthy, he could have a wonderful year. And the loss of Miles Sanders won't even be noticeable. It might even be better. But he has to stay healthy. And the Eagles do have a nice training staff. So hopefully he has a career year with us.
Who's the backup running back in Philly if not?
Kenneth Gainwell.
Okay.
Behind the Eagles' offensive line, you ain't gonna notice anything. If anything, I agree that it could possibly get better. I think Rashad Penny's a little underrated, and then Kenneth Walker just kind of like came in and said, "Hey, bud, fuck off, I'm the starter." So
yeah,
it was kind of a bad moment for him too, because it was right when he was supposed to take that next step.
Yeah, I think he will take the next step now for sure.
Hey, and Buddy is huge. I don't know if you saw the pictures of him on the press conference. He is huge. That is a big running back, and I would not tackle him if I had to.
But Juju to the Patriots.
Yep, that's what I was exactly going to say. I mean, it's not a bad signing for it replaces Jakobi Meyers. I almost said Jacoby Brissett. $8.5 million a year is not bad either. It's cheaper than Jacoby Myers. 3-year deal. I think that's a solid pickup for the Patriots. I mean, they needed one of those receivers.
My main question that comes to my mind here is, how do you think the Juju with his whole drama TikTok shit, how do you think that's going to thrive with Bill Belichick?
It won't.
It won't. That's exactly what I was thinking.
So here's my thing. I think it could work. Just think about the troubled receivers in the past that have went to the Patriots. Randy Johnson. Chad Johnson had a stretch. Randy Moss. Did I say Randy Johnson? Yeah.
The big
Randy
unit.
Moss. The big unit went to the Patriots. Randy Moss.
It was
Chad
troubled, all right.
Johnson, or Ocho Cinco, whoever you want to say. Antonio Brown had a short stint. So this isn't anything new for Bill Belichick. I think.
Yeah,
Even-
but do you
even the-
just hear who you listed off there?
Yeah, I mean, Randy
you
Moss
can't
is a Hall of
put
Famer.
Juju in the same class as those guys.
I'm not
Juju
saying that.
is a
I'm saying
nobody.
on the field they're not anywhere similar.
Right.
Off the field they are similar. I will say Juju's his reputation is for a lot less severe shit though. It's for making TikToks, not doing a lot of other dumb shit.
Yeah, but if you're good at football, you typically get away with a lot more stuff. If you're making stupid TikToks and you're just not producing, that's not good.
I think Juju obviously went from being a number one option in Seattle, or not Seattle, in Pittsburgh, to being another one of the guys on the depth chart in Kansas City. He's the number one option in New England. Unless you want to talk about Devontae Parker, he's probably the number one guy.
Waste of talent, man.
Yeah,
Devontae Parker could be so good.
Juju could have a good year this year if he keeps his head down and grinds. I do think Juju, I feel like Juju's overhated.
Fuck him.
It's
I
just,
fucking hate
he's
Juju.
kind of annoying, but I feel like if you really look at the grand scheme of things, he's not as bad as people want him out to be. So,
I hate him because
I'm-
of the team he signed with last year.
well, yeah, that's fair. But I'm rooting for Juju, and hopefully that he does produce, because someone's going to have to produce in that offense for Mac Jones or Bailey Zapp or whoever the fuck's going to play quarterback. But that's all I got.
One more thing.
And
to talk
kicker
about.
signing. Can I talk about the kicker signing?
Yeah, you got 5 seconds. Make it happen.
Okay, fuck off. So people were roasting the Matt Gay signing because they said any kicker other than Justin Tucker should not get this long of a deal, which is a 4-year deal. Thanks bullshit. Matt Gay is a great kicker. He's kicked in L.A. He's going to Indy. He's staying in a dome at home, which is solid. The conditions don't change much. Rodrigo Blankenship was the kicker last year to start the year in Indy, and then he sucked in the preseason. They cut him, and they were kind of dealing with backups and backup kickers and just rookie kickers and stuff like that don't really work long term. So I'm glad they got Matt Gay. He's a kicker that can go kick in Indy for 4 years. He's only 20. He's 26, 28, something like that. I'm trying to zoom in and see here. He's 28. He's about to turn 29.
Yeah.
So for kicker, he's in his prime. So he's not even halfway through his career yet. So great deal by Indy. Let's set their franchise kicker.
Nice. One thing we could talk about is the Cowboys traded a 5th-round pick for Stephon Gilmore.
Really shows how much the corner market is not shit.
Well, he's also kind of old.
Great number 2 option for Cowboys though, behind
Diggs.
Burner
Above
boy.
Diggs.
That's what I like. They'll also get burnt. Stuff won't be a lockdown though. Here's my question for you. This is an honest question. If you are, I think Dan Quinn's still the defensive coordinator in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
You're Dan Quinn. You're going into the week, let's say you're playing the Eagles. Or, we'll say this. Yeah, we'll say the Eagles. You got your clear number 1 in AJ, and you got a solid number 2 in Devontae. Both are solid. Obviously, you want to put your best corner on AJ, or he will torch you. Who's your top corner in that position?
I'm putting
Going with Diggs?
I'm putting Gilmore on AJ because he's not as shifty in his routes as Devontae Smith, and I think Trayvon Diggs is way more athletic at this point in their careers than Gilmore, so he could attempt to stick with Smitty. Is more keyword is attempt there.
Wait, so
Okay.
you said you put Diggs on Devontae?
Yeah, just because
I don't know.
Well, you know how I feel about Smitty. I was saying I think it's because he's more athletic than Gilmore at this stage in their careers.
Well, for that same reason, that's why I'm switching it up, because I feel like Stephon Gilmore would be more composed and not bite on a double move, whereas Diggs makes his money off of jumping routes, and I feel like Devontae Smith can sell a double move way better than AJ can. I mean,
I can say that.
Like a little slant to go. I saw it on Christmas Eve at the first play of the game.
I bet what the Cowboys will do is they won't even move. Like, Gilmore will stay on the left side of the field, Diggs will stay on the right side of the field, and whichever receiver goes to that side, that's who they're guarding.
And that's the smart way to do it, to be honest.
And just to make this even more clear, let's stay in the same division. Washington, they got a clear number one in Terry. I mean, Curtis Samuel, he's a solid receiver, but either one of those guys.
Is he a clear number one?
I think Terry is a clear number one. We can have this discussion at a different time, but I think Terry McLaurin is a solid wide receiver.
Terry's a clear number one, in my opinion.
I feel like that's a little Eagle bias.
I think I don't think he's number one on his team. I think he's number two.
You think Curtis Samuel's better than Terry?
Fuck no. Give me Jahan.
I'm taking Terry still.
Terry makes better he makes more splash plays, I feel like, but I feel like one of them is more consistent than the other. And that's
Also got to think Terry's probably the one drawing the double team.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Chase. Do you consider Amon-Ra St. Brown the number one receiver?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well then Terry's got to be a number one receiver.
Fuck him. I'm talking about on his team. On his team, he's not the number one.
Jahan Dotson may be more talented. I just don't know if we'll ever get to see it because Terry's he's the guy there. He's like the man. He's the leader of the team. Like, he'll always, in their eyes, he'll always be their number one.
Yeah, well, fuck that team too. Also, I forgot to mention the Panthers signed Andy Dalton, so that could be their starting quarterback come week 1.
He's just jumping around the South, man. He'll be Atlanta and Tampa Bay before too long.
Yeah, he will. One thing I want to point out real quick is the Bears signed DeMarcus Walker. It's a pretty slept-on move right there, if you ask me.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah. I want to key in on a move here that's right at the bottom of Kendall's screen. Charles Omenihu went to Kansas City. If you don't remember, just a couple weeks back, the Kansas City went without re-signing Frank Clark. They let him go. So this is their corresponding move to that, and I think it is a great pickup. Anybody off of that last year's San Francisco defensive line, you're going to take them. And, I feel like it's a lot less, Charles Omenihu is, 20? Did I say 20? Yeah, he's 25. I think Frank Clark's a little bit older than that. So I think it's a solid pickup for Kansas City.
Also forgot Hayden Hurst is going to Carolina as well. So
Panthers just signing a bunch of veteran offensive players.
Yeah. And honestly, it's kind of smart because let's say they do draft CJ, which is, I think, personally, who they'll draft if they stay at number 1. You want guys that have been around the league a long time to help bring him in, help him learn the offense. So I think it's a good move for them, especially if you don't have any wide receivers. You want a veteran tight end. They got Tommy Tremble, too, tight end, who's a little bit younger.
Yep.
So
One move I absolutely do not understand is why the Lions hate DeAndre Swift so much that they went out and signed David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. I don't understand that.
Because there's a corresponding move that affects my team. So, David Montgomery, solid year in Chicago last year, dealt with a little bit of an injury problem towards the back half of the year. Ain't that right?
Yeah.
So, he went to Detroit, 3 years, $18 million. I mean, it's a pretty cheap deal. $6 million average. So, again, like you said, why do they hate DeAndre Swift? Because that is one of the best running back by committees in the NFL right now with those two when they're both on. And it just seems like a move that someone like Dan Campbell would not make. Like, Dan Campbell's so into this, like, loyalty and, work hard and you'll get this reward. And I just feel like DeAndre Swift doesn't deserve this kind of bullshit.
I feel like he may request a trade.
I would.
I wouldn't blame him.
Because that's another starting running back. Like obviously, I think DeAndre Swift, when he is fully healthy and producing, is better than David Montgomery. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
There's a question.
I'd rather have DeAndre Swift as my running back.
Yeah. Well, so obviously it's that, but I mean, this is definitely looked at as it's going to be a committee, or there's something that's going to happen between now and opening day of NFL season that David Montgomery might know about that we don't. Because I don't know why David Montgomery would go to Detroit if he was only guaranteed to be a half of the committee.
Yeah.
I feel like a running back with his caliber, he'd want to be a starter somewhere. Shit. Of course, when I moved to this, I got rid of Jamal Williams. Didn't re-sign him. He went to New Orleans.
It's sad. It's sad. He was a fan favorite in Detroit.
Yeah, and he's about to be a fan favorite in New Orleans, let me tell you. Because that, quirky, goofy fan base that New Orleans has will fit right perfectly with Jamal Williams, and it's a great goal line option for Alvin.
If Alvin's not locked up.
If Alvin's not locked up, and if he is locked up, then it'll be the Jamal Williams show, which is very likely. As more and more details about this court case come out, the more, for certain I am that Alvin is going to be suspended for multiple games.
Jamal's a great pass blocker, too. He's very good at pass blocking.
Yeah. I love the offensive team that we're putting around Derek Carr, so.
I guess the last move that I want to talk about, and then we can move on if you guys want anything else to talk about,
okay,
was the Cowboys released Zeke, and another heartbreaker for most Cowboy fans.
Thank God.
Whenever I went to the Cowboys game, there were a lot of Zeke fans, diehard Zeke fans, and I never understood why. I mean, I understood his early years, sure, but right now, I would hate to have him on my team because he looks like a fullback. He looks slow. He looks like he's just done. But they released him. They didn't even give the Cowboys, Twitter, didn't even give him a video goodbye. They put a picture. That's crazy to me. But
that is very crazy.
Yeah, you would think they would do it.
And a correlating thought to that, I think this is pretty obvious in my mind. You will see Tony Pollard be ranked in the top 10 in fantasy rankings next year.
If he comes back from his injury in time.
Yeah. I know he broke his leg, but as long as he's going to be on the field week 1, I think he'll be a first-round pick in fantasy.
Which I don't know how his leg break is exactly. I don't know if it was a fibia or tibia, but I mean, I broke my fibia, and I was back to my normal activity level, which is obviously a lot less than Tony Pollard, in 3 months. So I think Tony in, 8? Or unless it's smart, so. So 5 months. I think 5 months.
Are you counting on your fingers?
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
Oh.
So I think 5 months from now, by the time the season starts, he'll be right around getting into the groove of things. Because he broke his leg. When did he break his leg? In the playoffs?
Divisional round, so
December? Right before Christmas?
Oh, dude,
no,
January.
that's January.
It's January. It's the late teens, early 20s.
So he's probably right at 2 months right now. So I say by the start of the season, he will at least be on a snap count playing. Might take a full year to see him get back in full force, but definitely think he'll be playing.
Derek Carr, the year he broke his leg on Christmas, he was perfectly ready to go by OTAs.
Yeah.
So
they heal a lot faster than my fat ass. So
broken bones, that's a obviously that's not there's no such thing as a good injury, but that's a broken bone is a better injury to get than a torn ligament.
Yeah. I want to talk about this real quick about Zeke. I don't know if y'all saw this, but so obviously their pre-June 1st and post-June 1st cut declarations. A lot of contracts, you're going to save more money against the cap if you cut them post-June 1st. That's what they're doing with Zeke. He's a post-June 1st cut, is what they declared him when they released him, technically. Which I guess, if you really think about it, he's a Cowboy until June 1st. So, I don't know exactly how this works, and maybe one of y'all do. Does that mean Zeke's kind of just sitting on his thumbs until June 1st before he can start talking with other teams and sign? Or do you think he will sign with the team before then?
He can't officially sign.
Yeah, I was going to say he can talk to other teams, and you'll see it like on ESPN. Like, let's just for example, he signs with the Bills. You'll see Bills and Ezekiel Elliott agree to a contract, but you won't see a picture of him signing the contract of it being official till June 1st.
I think that's smart. It was a significant cap difference for the Cowboys.
Yeah, but who's going to sign him though?
That's a great question.
I don't know. If I'm an NFL GM, I don't care what my team looks like. I'm not signing him. I'm not touching him.
There's a team that will.
There is a team that will because of his name. Yes.
I think this will be his last year. I think he'll go out. He'll play 1 year, and it'll be one of the worst years. He had a bad year last year, but it'll be a terrible year, and he'll flame out. He'll be out.
I said the Bills. That's a possibility. The Chiefs is no.
There's also someone looking for Derrick Henry too, aren't they? Buffalo. Derrick Henry apparently is in trade.
Yeah, he's on the block.
People are definitely kind of like iffy about Derrick Henry though, because the amount of touches he's had over the past couple of years. I mean, I would definitely take him, but
if I'm Arthur Smith in Atlanta, I'm taking his ass. I'm trying to get him.
But he's definitely gonna be like a 1 or 2 year rental, and then he's done. Because there's no way his body survives the amount of touches he gets a year.
Yeah, there's few people in this league that have been able or will be able to do like as a Frank Gore or even a Shady McCoy has done, but especially Frank Gore. I mean, Frank Gore was a starting running back in this league at like 35.
Future Hall of Fame.
But there's one last move I want to talk about briefly. It's Cole Holcomb to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that's a good move for him. Solid linebacker in Washington. Going to Pittsburgh. I feel like that'd be a good piece to keep if you're Washington, but
yeah, well,
I want to throw out a Washington move just for Wes,
Well, whenever your team's going to sell you, or whenever your owners are going to sell your team, you don't really have a direction anymore.
Yeah. All right. So, we good there? Everybody good?
Yep.